Welcome to the first of many videos to help you better understand Salesforce.com and the Nonprofit Starter Pack. Caroline and I are happy to have you join us take a closer look at the Nonprofit Starter Pack account models. So let's sit in on a conversation that Caroline and I are having about account models. Caroline, what is an account model?
Well, it's how the people in your Salesforce system relate to organizations and also to the gifts or grants that they make. So in Salesforce terminology, people are contacts, the gifts are opportunities, and the organizations they belong to are accounts.
Caroline, why should I care about which account model I select?
Well, these relationships are actually at the core of not only the Nonprofit Starter Pack, but indeed Salesforce itself. It's really important for how your system is going to operate. It's a decision that you shouldn't make lightly, but it's not immediately obvious why you want to pick one model over another. So how about we have a look at an example, and it might help you better understand why you should care.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, so let's start with a lady called Jane Volunteer. She's very involved with our organization in multiple ways. In fact, she owns her own design business, but we're interested in the fact that she's on the board of a sister organization. And here's her partner. He's John Donor, and he's a senior director at a local legal firm.
And the organization knows that they are a household?
It does. So right, okay, let's now have a look and see how these people would be represented in Salesforce. So Jane and John are contacts, okay? And the organizations that they volunteer and work for are account records. And their relationships with those organizations are tracked through affiliation records. And then they share a Nonprofit Starter Pack household record. But here's one of the reasons why you need to care about the account model. Because in fact, Salesforce requires that every contact must have a relationship with an account.
Really? That's interesting. So a contact must have an account.
Absolutely, that's right, and it's really important to understand that. So let's add this to the slides. Let's start off by looking, here's how it looks for the one-to-one account model. So as you see now, both Jane and John have their own account record, which is essentially a copy of their contact record. That's why it's a one-to-one. And that account record is actually hidden from view most of the time. If you try and click on their account record, it's going to take you straight back to their contact record. And you also need to notice that the account here is set, those one-to-one accounts are separate to their household record.
You know, I've seen that when I've clicked on an account and it's taken me back to the contact. I've also noticed that when I create a new contact, it makes an account with the same name for me automatically.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so I'm using the one-to-one model, but I've heard about this other model called the bucket account model, or I know some people call it the individual account model. How does that work?
Okay, here you go. Let's have a look. So what do you notice now?
There's just one account called individuals.
That's right. All of your donors that are not connected to another organization end up in one big bucket account called something like individuals. But either way, this account record is separate to their household record.
Okay. Well, I've also heard that in the Nonprofit Starter Pack 3.0, there's something called the household account model. So what does that look like?
Yeah, it's interesting. The default is going to change. what happens in Nonprofit Starter Pack 3.0 is that the separate household and account records merge together into one household account, in this case with the two contacts linked directly to it, like this. So now actually the household record is just another type of account or category of account. In fact, Salesforce calls this a record type. So this is now a household account, household of the record type household. Plus, in Nonprofit Starter Pack 3, you have this idea that every household has a primary contact. And since at the moment neither Jane nor John have any gifts, Jane is going to be automatically created as the primary contact because her record was created first.
I think I got it, Caroline. That household account model seems simple enough.
Yeah, actually it is. It's a much simpler model than the other two, but in some ways it's also less flexible.
What do you mean less flexible?
Well, you could have things set up so that John was actually a contact of his company, the legal firm, rather than using an affiliation. But you could still have him in the household with Jane, perhaps because you know him better in his law firm context. In this household account model, you do actually have to choose whether he's going to be associated with the household or the company, because you can't have a contact associated with more than one account.
Oh, I see. Every contact has to have an account, but they can only have one account.
Exactly.
Also, it seems like once you pick a model, it's really important to stick with it.
Yeah, sure. You do want to be consistent with this. Otherwise, actually, you're going to have problems with reports, for example. But also, the choice of account model has a big impact on donations.
Okay, so I need to stick to one model because of donations, but why?
Well, let's add some donation information, or as it's known in Salesforce terminology, opportunities, and let's see what a difference that makes.
Okay.
So you remember this layout, Ashima. This is the one-to-one account model again. Okay, so here's another basic rule of Salesforce. And this is another reason why you need to care about your account model. And that's because an opportunity, a gift, a donation, or a grant, can only be related to an account.
Wait. When I create an opportunity, I see the contact's name in the account field. I thought that was the contact record. I'm confused.
That's okay. Let's break it down using Jane and John's data. Okay, so here we have Jane has given us a gift of $250, but it's actually related, because of this rule, to her one-to-one account record. But at the same time as you create this opportunity record or gift record, the Nonprofit Starter Pack helps you to create two contact roles. And the contact roles provide the link between the opportunity and the contact. The first contact role is for Jane as the primary donor, and the second one is for John as the household member, so like he gets soft credit. And then using those contact roles, you can then do the Nonprofit Starter Pack will then do the calculations for the total gifts that appear on the contact record and the household record.
I think I understand this, but what happens if John gives a donation? Will that be associated with his one-to-one account?
Yes, absolutely.
And will there be contact roles created for John? And will Jane be the primary donor again?
Not quite. There will be contact roles, but this time, because it's John's gift, he's going to be the primary and Jane is going to get the soft credit. Like this. This is a $750 gift from John. So now see how the roll-up totals have changed.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. And also a really useful trick here is that you can compare the total gifts on the contact with the total gifts on the account. If you're using the one-to-one model, they should be exactly the same amount.
So if there was another household member, they'd get a soft credit for these donations too?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got it.
So how does this work with the new household account model with Nonprofit Starter Pack 3.0? I remember from your previous slide, the household is now an account record. So does that mean the household account will have the opportunities?
Good deduction. Of course, the opportunities will now be related to the household account.
Oh. So how do we know who is the donor?
Well, in fact, the contact roles are going to be exactly the same as before, because remember, they're not linked either to the household or the account. They're just going from the opportunity record to the contact record. So in fact, all the gift and soft credit totals on the contact should remain exactly the same as they were before. But you can see how important contact roles are.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And by the way, if we were importing this data or migrating it from a previous model, so that's contact and household data that also includes gifts, then in this case, John would be the primary contact in this household because he's given more in total than Jane has.
Caroline, so let me see if I understand the account model rules you shared with me. First, every contact must have an account. A contact can have only one account. An opportunity must be associated with an account. Contact roles allow me to link the contact with the opportunity. And each household will have a primary contact. And I think really important that seems clear to me is that you have to pick a model and stick with it.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes, exactly. I think that's, if nothing else, we should, that's the important thing to remember, isn't it, out of this video, is pick one account model and stick with it. And I hope that this now kind of explains to you why you need to care about it, because of those relationships between, and the rules that we've covered about accounts and opportunities. The account model is really key.
Yes. Thank you, Caroline, for clearing that up for me. I really appreciate it.
That's great. Well, and thank you for all of you to listening to this video and joining us on this adventure. So we hope that you'll come back and watch our next video. We're planning one on soft credits and influence gifts, so come back for that. In the meantime, here are some resources that may help you as you continue this process of building out your system. A really good starting place is the documentation for the Nonprofit Starter Pack. And you'll find the links to all of that and lots more information in the Power of Us Hub, which is also where you'll find us and some conversations. And we've actually taken these slides, a section out of a much longer webinar that we presented for the Salesforce Foundation about migrating to the Nonprofit Starter Pack 3 household account model, and you'll find a complete version of that webinar at this link.
And please feel free to reach out to us on the Power of Us Hub. If you are involved in there, here is our contact information, our email addresses, as well as website. So thank you for joining us today.
Thanks very much.